We will now explore more about regional stability and the ongoing tensions in South China Sea with international relations scholar at Pajajaran University, Bapak Teuku Rezasyah.
Thank you, Pak Reza, for always coming in when we need expert insight.
Thank you very much for inviting me to come from Bandung to here.
You came all the way from Bandung to Jakarta.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm feeling at home here.
Thank you. Now, this is certainly very interesting. Historically, it has never been done before.
Correct.
And all ASEAN joint exercise, whatever it is, whether it's combat or even just humanitarian exercise, was never done before. So what do you think about this? So it was announced last week, the plans on conducting its first military drill or humanitarian drill, if you may, in South China Sea. But Cambodia, as mentioned as before, has yet to confirm its attendance. Why do you think Cambodia is so reserved? And I thought this was already something that was agreed upon, or else it wouldn't have been announced.
To begin with, this is a surprise. Critics, internal critics coming from the youngest member of ASEAN. Cambodia. And then, of course, there are reasons for this. Among others, they say they haven't said this is a final answer. They are still discussing the feasibility of the idea with their military establishment, even though the idea was made sometime in Bali last September. During that time, the top military elites of the 10 countries say yes. But in my opinion, this is a unilateral position taken by Cambodia, and considering the ASEAN tradition, we have to respect their decision, because we do not have a policy of intervening in the domestic decision making. Okay, and of course, if I put myself in the shoes of the Cambodian, the term military exercise itself is confusing. Maybe all right for the designer. It puts a situation where all countries put their efforts and to simulate activities. They're utilizing their command control apparatus and then surveillance, reconnaissance and so on, and they will use a specific language in connecting the 10 countries. And then indirectly, we will know what is the purpose, what is the strategic purpose, and who are the target country for this. So this is something I think Cambodia think deeply. So that's why they said roughly we consider this seriously. But if we also think the location of this drill is somewhere at the Natuna Sea of Indonesia, and the name itself is not yet internationally recognized. And for China, the location of this drill is somewhere close to their 9-dash line. And then if these activities happen, 10 countries there, and then it will put, indirectly will put China as a source of instability in the region. So considering the close relations between Cambodia and China, I think China whispered Cambodia, please say no, something like that. And we can also consider about that 70% of Cambodians' trade and also investment revolves China. And recently they have received around $3 billion in terms of overseas defense assistance, also from China. And then China benefits from the ongoing activities in Cambodian ports, let's say Sihanouk's field and then Kompong Som. And then China has also access to mining, gas and oil position in Cambodia. So we have to think seriously that this is not an instant answer for Cambodia. I think they have made a lot of soul searching for this. And at the end, well, part of the problem is we do not know yet what's the name of this drill, and then what technologies to be used, and will it involve Navy to Navy cooperation? Will it involve Air Force combination, or will the operation also take place in some part of Indonesia? This is something we hardly know.
Okay.
All right, so what we know now, I guess Cambodia is pumping the brakes on the plan, but
Yes.
do you think there would be a possibility for other ASEAN countries to do the same as Cambodia?
Well, I think 3 yes and 7 no. Yeah. I think after Cambodia, we may think on Laos. Yeah. Laos is a landlocked country,
Yeah.
and Laos is happy to have military training this last month and also this month with China.
Yeah.
And Laos is experiencing a fruitful relation with China. There is a direct speed train connecting Kunming in China
right.
in the Sihanouk's fields. Kunming over there and the Vientiane over here. It is a speed train for 1,000 kilometers track. Yeah. So Laos is experiencing a good relation with China, and after that maybe Myanmar will come next, because Myanmar is being away outside ASEAN, yeah, for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have not received invitation, and then they are considered to be half member, even though we never say that you are half member, you are still with us. But in this case, Myanmar will think that it's a good idea to join this kind of drill to prevent further confusion from inside ASEAN. So if Cambodia say no, Laos say no, maybe Myanmar say so. I think, but the rest of ASEAN, we are looking forward for this. For Indonesia, for example, we are moving our capital city sometime in a year time to Ibu Kota Negara, the new capital city, and then the city is called Nusantara. And of course, this will produce something called changing center of gravity. You can imagine the moving of capital from Jakarta to Nusantara city in Kalimantan will produce certain kind of confusion in the eyes of the Philippines, Malaysia, and then Bruneian. And then also it will involve a great concentration of Indonesian special troops, police force, and then army, navy, air force, and then also a huge amount of civil servant to the new capital city. And I think in this case, prior to doing that, a military drill would be important, because through military drill, we could see, are they feeling comfortable with us, our fellow ASEAN 6, yeah? Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, and Brunei. And then through this kind of drill, they could see that Indonesia our posture is defensive. We do not want to produce another kind of confrontation like what they had in the past. So I think this is, for Indonesia, it is very important. For Philippines, it is very important, because in the past we had a separate defense drill with the Philippines. And also with Malaysia, we had a term called Elang Malindo, for example, Indonesia and Malaysia. And then with the Philippines, Elang Mafilindo. And then with the Singapore, Elang Indopura. So we have had in the past bilateral level of exercises, trilateral level of exercises, quadrilateral level of exercises. Now we have 10. You can imagine how many thousands of troops involved, Navy, Army, Air Force, and who will pay the budget. I think this is something we do not know. And who will benefit from this kind of simulation? Because when there is, we are not thinking of war, but the simulation itself could give scholars inclination to think.
That somebody is getting ready.
Somebody is getting ready, and the next step is maybe local military arms race, something like that.
So this is very interesting, because I'm very interested in the choice of the place or the spot that was announced, that is the Natuna Sea.
Oh, yeah.
We know that this is an area of conflict for not just Indonesia, but this is an area where other ASEAN member countries also struggle with the same, like Indonesia. And interestingly, we find more and more military exercises happening around the world, always saying it's not directed at anybody, this is just a drill now. Do you see the same thing can happen to this particular drill? And because this is specifically the South China Sea, and they've even named a spot, can you give us a little bit of an overview of the disputes that are historical background of the significance, why this is a big deal?
Well, for geostrategic reasons, about 70% of trade will pass through this part of the world. And then the Chinese want, they have been practicing a 9-dash line, meaning a de facto control at this very moment. And then for the US, they want to have a free navigation. And for us inside ASEAN, there are countries who claim part of the spots in South China Sea. Malaysia, Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, and also Brunei Darussalam. They have spots there. For example, for Malaysia, they have an island called Layang-Layang Island.
Yeah.
They have been organizing a direct flight from Layang-Layang Island to the city of Kinabalu. That's been there, even though the flight is not regular, but the flight is there. And then Indonesia, we do not have any claim, but if things happen there, it will fully affect our Natuna Island. So that's why we try to produce a barricade called Laut Natuna Utara or North Natuna Sea. So, and that's from the geopolitical perspective and also from the geostrategic perspective. And also in this part of the world, we are beginning to see also indirect conflict here. For example, we are witnessing Chinese fishermen coming and going, with or without the knowledge of the ASEAN countries, and there is a peaceful encounter between our Coast Guard with the Chinese Coast Guard, and then behind that they have a Chinese Navy somewhere over there hiding. So we could say that what is happening in South China Sea is a Cold War. The war is not there, but we have had enough ammunition for tensions. And then for the great powers, they keep watching. For example, for the US, they have bases. They have bases in Da Nang and Cam Ranh in Vietnam. They have bases in the Philippines. And we also see there are Butterworth Air Force Base in Malaysia, operated by the British Armed Forces, based on the bilateral deal under the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization. So tension is there, but countries are aware the Cold War is there, but they really understand. They really prevent the clash from happening.
Okay. So, Pak Reza, in your opinion, what role do regional organizations such as ASEAN play in resolving South China Sea disputes?
Well, firstly, we need to stick with the roadmaps we have here. So we need to pay attention not only on the political security aspect of the roadmap, but also economic cooperation, and then also socio-cultural community. Three layers here. And then that's the one. We need to work stronger to make sure that we remain cohesive. That's one. And at the same time, we need to work hard to produce with China something called Code of Conduct. At the moment, we are in the second reading. So we need to make sure that there is no conflict happening between ASEAN and China. And also we prevent external powers from intervening in the affairs of Southeast Asia. We have had a zone of peace, freedom, and zone called ZOPFAN, Zone of Peace, Freedom, and Neutrality. We have also principles called Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone, and we also have principles of Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. China has signed this sometime next week. The Chinese embassy will organize meeting with the universities to commemorate China's signing of the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation with ASEAN countries. And then next, we need to speed up the process of ASEAN outlook of Indo-Pacific. This is something we need to speed up and put ASEAN as the central of the gravity here, because all kind of security cooperation will not work without the absence of ASEAN. And then at the same time, we need to be more open with China, that what we are doing is not against you, but we are aware that you are becoming a superpower, that a superpower means a greater responsibility not only to regional rules and norms, but a greater responsibility to international law. So in this case, we will keep promoting United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and then the ASEAN Charter, and then also internally we garner our habit of dialogue among ourselves. because we are aware now that some countries inside ASEAN, well, they have a closer relations with China, in this case, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, and at the same time, there are hotspots involving China and the Philippines. So we have great challenge, but I think but I do believe that through time we can prove that ASEAN will become a credible regional institution. We are more credible than our colleagues in East Asia. They have been benefiting from the peace surpluses coming from ASEAN, and they are utilizing ASEAN as a venue for greater security cooperation among the ASEAN plus 3 countries, China, South Korea, and Japan.
Well, Pak Reza, thank you so much for your insight. We certainly are looking forward to see how this is going to roll out, because this is certainly going to be a very historic moment when this drill happens in the Indonesian South China Seas.
Lovely. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Thank you so much. And
I'm
that
honored.
was Pak Teuku Rezasyah, an international relations expert from the University of Pajajaran here in Indonesia. Now we're going to take another break.
And after the break, Hans Lango will deliver some economics and business updates in the next segment. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored.